Tonight, yield to the military. That's the message echoing from Washington to city halls. But civil rights lawyers say that's not how America works. We're cutting through the noise with a hard look at race, rights, policing, and power. First, the context. Yield, man? Coming from the speaker? That's not how constitutional limits roll.
Yield, man. You're a civil rights lawyer. Just give me a little context here. Yield, man, is not really what I want to hear from the Speaker of the House.
She points out something the headlines miss. The mayors named were black. The city's overwhelmingly black. And the framing linked crime to black-run cities. Abroad, allies are watching us. At home, troops pick up trash while global crises simmer.
That Russia is not our friend when they decide that they're going to mess with one of the NATO allies, Poland, we're kind of like, we don't really know what happened. Or when we have Israel that ends up doing something to Qatar, and Qatar is looking at us and saying, hey, United States, like, where are you?
Yeah, we have 10,000 troops there.
She argues the real issue isn't one man. It's the machine around him.
Yes, we have a problem with this president, but this president cannot do this stuff by himself. So thank you for playing the clip of the Speaker of the House, who is the leader of those that are going to just bend the knee to him. They are not honoring their oath. And that is the only thing that I am asking every single elected leader to do.
America has always resisted military policing at home.
Right? This goes back to Roman times. We do not want, people do not want to be policed by the military. They respect the National Guard for what the National Guard does.
Yes.
They don't need them in their cities.
Big government thing.
Right.
This is the biggest amount of government that you could have. Not to mention, you mentioned that it's not really clear why he's not going into Chicago now. Well, I have a guess. He has a governor that is actually resisting. So now we're looking at...
This is an important point. Shifts to Memphis and New Orleans, where the one person who can push back, the governor, is on his side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Memphis isn't just crime stats. It's a community fight, environment, tech, and power.
Memphis. A lot of people don't know what's been going on in Memphis. What's been going on is that the people are pushing back against Elon Musk. Elon Musk has these data centers that have now been tied to polluting their communities and causing them harm. And so they are against these data centers.
And when corporate rail deals need help,
exactly,
so that the merger can go through with Union Pacific.
Exactly.
Crime is real, but cherry-picked stats don't make you safer.
They don't rely on these statistics that say violent crime was down by X percentage. They realize that violent crime is a bad thing.
Exactly.
Everybody thinks so.
Exactly.
And the ways in which you undercut violent crime are through things that happen in communities, through gun violence protection.
Yeah. Maxwell Frost led the way as to the creation of the Gun Violence Prevention Office within the White House. What did Donald Trump do?
Which was really successful until January 20th.
What did Donald Trump do? He absolutely did.
Yeah. She frames the tough on crime optics as a budget shell game.
More money to ICE, and yes, I do want my ballroom, and yes, I do want this $400 million plane that is unconstitutional, that will cost the American people $1 billion to retrofit. Yes, he can find all the money for that while taking away the programs that law enforcement agencies are relying on. All those grants, he's like, yeah, we don't need those anymore. We know, as we've seen this over-policing as it relates to ICE, as well as these criminal acts that are actually being perpetrated by ICE. We just saw that someone was killed in Chicago. So, I don't know who is bringing more crime to the streets right now, especially when it comes to ICE.
Real crime reduction tracks poverty reduction, not troop deployments.
We know it doesn't work, right? We know in cities where crime has been reduced, it's been reduced through, it's a number of things at the same time.
Exactly.
One of which is poverty reduction.
Absolutely.
Right? And poverty reduction programs have been killed. Under the big, beautiful bill. And the dope.
Exactly. But that's everything that they're doing. Everything is about the billionaires. Like everything that we've seen from this big, ugly bill, it's about making sure that they have more. I need to take care of my child, and so I need to get this formula. I need to get these diapers, and I'm going to do what I've got to do. But the reality is that we could do something like making sure that SNAP benefits are going to be available to them. We could make sure that there are going to be job opportunities in the Biden-Harris administration, because they understood the things that literally would sit atop people and really put them into bad positions, whether it was their student loan debt or whether it was their medical debt. But they were doing the things to make sure that people could really feel like they were living in the land of the free and the land of opportunity. The trickle-down economics doesn't work either.
Then, the courts. A shadow docket move with big consequences.
The Supreme Court made a big decision about the rules that ICE immigration have to follow in Los Angeles. This is important to everybody in this country. It's not Los Angeles specific. The Supreme Court had one of its shadow docket decisions, which are kind of dodgy. But the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution says it's not okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting as we sit here in New York. I can think back to a time in which there was stop and frisk.
Yes, that's correct.
And I could think back to a time in which that was found to be unconstitutional.
That's right.
And it was considered an unreasonable search,
yes,
as we know the Fourth Amendment stands for. And now it's almost like this argument that the Republicans have been making that somehow if you are not an American citizen, that you are not afforded the same rights under the Constitution. So why is it okay for ICE to then go out and see somebody and look at them or hear them and say whether or not they're a U.S. citizen, to the extent that they are, in my opinion, violating their constitutional rights?
Once you loosen the Fourth Amendment for them, it gets looser for you.
Along.
Yeah.
This amendment, the idea that we've softened up around the Fourth Amendment, will one day come for you, because today it's about immigration.
Yeah.
But if it could be about anything at this point.
Yeah. No. And again, I think
you might be a subversive.
Well, yeah. And I also think that we may end up going back to stop and frisk. I think that they may end up relitigating that and then just decide that they want to go into certain communities.
Right.
And they want to start rounding up certain people.
What's being built, she argues, is a force without accountability.
He seems to be building a police force that is not subject to the normal rules that either policing or military should be subject to. It's sort of a police force that's lacking accountability.
No, there is no accountability, and it's going after its American people. There was this one immigrant that was here illegally, and they ended up killing this one person. Well, for every immigrant that you have an example of, I'll raise you at least 2 to 5 white supremacists, if not more, right? So, like, you've got to look at who is it that is committing the crime, who is it that is committing certain types of crime, and then you need to figure out why, and then you go in and you say, this is how you reduce it. Whether we're talking about your terrible tariffs that are illegal as well, or whether we're talking about the fact that you are defunding healthcare, you are defunding food, you are now going after education and defunding education and want to get rid of the Department of Education as a whole, or you want to take our tax dollars and make sure you send it off to the private schools that don't have to take every single child. You are definitely compounding the issue. You are not fixing anything. You are making things worse. We ended up having the worst job numbers when you were in the last time. And guess what? We've got the worst job numbers now, especially when you start to look at the Black community.
Yep.
History speaks, if you know it.
Slave patrol, period. But if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols. And now with the Supreme Court saying this, it's almost like you can just go grab them up. That is what they're saying. And that is a problem. We all should have a problem with that. Want to teach American history that includes Black history, then you lose out on the benefit of understanding that we have been down this road before and it was not good, and we fixed it once, and it is a shame that we are relitigating this and we're going to have to fix it again.
Yielding to the military isn't liberty, it's mission creep. If rights shrink for some, they shrink for all. Know the data, know the history. Demand the oath be honored.